Welcome to the orientation for Health Sciences 506, Data and Decision Making. My name is Dr. Tom Kappert, and I'm going to be the instructor for this course. And so my task here in this hopefully short video is to kind of give you an overview of what to expect in the course, give you some ideas of how the course is going to be run, and also answer some kind of common questions that people may have concerning the course. So you may be asking yourself, why biostatistics? Why do I have to take this course? Well, number one, because you have to, but certainly one of the other reasons we want to do this course or have you take this course is so you can learn a little bit more about the research process. Now, some of you may have had research methods or statistics courses in your undergrad preparation, or maybe you've had them as postgraduate courses. But part of doing research, whether you're doing it yourself, whether you're reading it for your professional development, or you're actually trying to take the results of research and apply it to a clinical problem or to a clinical practice, you need to understand how the conclusions were made. And part of making conclusions when we do research is doing data analysis. And so a good portion of what we're going to be doing in this course is getting a better understanding of how statistics is used in the research process, so that number one, you can do it, you can understand it, and you can apply the information to your own professional uses. Now, the goals of the class, obviously we're going to learn some statistical techniques, but the techniques we're going to learn are actually going to be pretty basic, so we're not going to get into too much in depth and not too terribly complicated, but we're going to get to the point where if you have collected data or will be collecting data, you'll be able to organize it, you'll be able to make some sense out of it, and you'll be able to do some pretty basic types of analyses on the data. And you'll also be able to understand how and why certain techniques were being used as you read research articles. So a part of my goal here is to really demystify statistics. A lot of students come into this course deathly afraid of it for one reason or another. They may have had a bad experience, they may feel like they're not very good at math, but part of my goal here is to make it seem less intimidating. Yes, there's math involved, but math is really part of what we do. In statistics, we use math to make logical decisions, make logical conclusions. And so you might not be very good at math, but if you're good at logic and you're good at critical thinking, then you'll actually do pretty well and shouldn't have too much difficulty in this class. And so that's one of my big goals, is to really demystify the process and make statistics seem a little less intimidating. We also really want to emphasize here being able to read, interpret, and analyze research results. So when you're reading a research article, you'll have a much better idea of how the conclusions were made, because now you hopefully will understand the analysis process a little bit more in depth. And so it really can help you improve your understanding of research results and then be able to utilize those research findings. So hopefully we can make you a fairly critical interpreter of research. And by critical, I mean healthy criticism, to where you're looking at things analytically and not just taking research results at face value, but being able to kind of think through, okay, what is this research result really telling me? And maybe more importantly, what is it not telling me? And so yes, we're going to do some calculation. Yes, we're going to be doing some statistical analysis, but we really want to try and emphasize the interpretation and the application of the statistics that we're going to learn how to do, so that we can carry that through into many different aspects of your professional life. So a little bit about me really quickly. I've been teaching statistics and research methods for a little bit more than 18 years at the graduate and undergraduate level. I perform research in many different fields. I've worked in physical therapy, I've worked in sports medicine, I've worked in cardiac and pulmonary rehab, I've worked in health and wellness. So I've done a lot of different research in a lot of different areas. So hopefully I can bring some of that experience to the course as far as using examples and talking about how some of these different analysis techniques can be utilized depending on different research questions and depending on different fields. I know the theory, and we are going to spend some time talking about the theory behind some of these analysis techniques, but we're really going to try and emphasize the application, the interpretation and the application of these analysis techniques. So we really want to try and do a lot more hands-on kinds of things than just learning the theory and doing calculations by hand. That's why we have computers. So we're not going to do very many calculations by hand. The majority will be done using computer programs. So I'm really going to encourage practice. I really encourage you to collaborate with your classmates. There's only a few of you in this course. So as you get to know one another, I encourage you to collaborate with each other. It really helps tremendously as you're going through the material to be able to collaborate and ask questions and explain concepts to each other. So I would strongly encourage you to do that. And I'm also going to encourage you to really try and be systematic in how you take notes and how you go through the information. It's pretty easy as we go through this information, and you'll find this in the presentations that I do when I demonstrate some of the techniques, is it's most effective if you can follow a systematic approach. Follow a step-by-step approach to all the problems that we do, and it makes them so much easier, and it makes your understanding of what's happening a lot simpler and a lot stronger. So I really encourage you to try and follow a systematic approach as you take your notes and as you go through solving these problems that we're going to do throughout the semester, that you really do try and follow that systematic approach. It makes a huge difference. So 3 fun facts about me. First of all, I have degrees from several universities, but my most recent is from the University of Toledo, where I got my PhD. But some other facts about me: I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I no longer have a Boston accent. I now live in Michigan, and have lived in Michigan for most of my adult life. Another fact is I'm married and I have 2 young sons, Jack and Will, who keep me very busy. And then the third fun fact that you might find perhaps the most interesting is that I'm not really very good at math. In other words, I can't sit around and do math problems in my head. But what I am good at is logic. And so hopefully that gives you some idea. If I can be good at and teach statistics without being a math whiz or without being a mathematician, then most people can probably do fairly well at statistics as well. And so hopefully that gives you a little more idea about who I am and what I do, and hopefully we'll be able to learn more about each other a little bit as the semester goes on. So the format of the course, we really kind of break this course up into 3 parts. The first part is you're going to be spending time, first few weeks, spending time reviewing and learning about basic concepts and basic theory of statistics. You'll have some readings, I have some videos for you to watch, we'll be doing some practice problems, and there are some quizzes that we'll go through the semester. The next part is where we're going to learn how to use a computer program called SPSS to actually do statistical analysis and then apply some of these concepts you'll be learning about in part 1. So SPSS is produced by IBM. It's a Windows-based spreadsheet that we'll be using to do some of the analysis. So we'll be doing a lot. You'll have lots of demonstrations you'll be able to watch of doing the different techniques. We're going to be doing quite a bit of discussion and practice problems as the semester goes on. But again, I want to emphasize my goal is to not make you an expert in SPSS. It's to give you a basic understanding of it and be able to use it as a tool so we can apply some of these basic concepts and theories that we're going to be talking about. So if you don't feel like you're very good at computers, don't worry. If you've used Excel, you should feel pretty comfortable in SPSS, or if you use some kind of spreadsheet program, then SPSS will look very familiar to you. So kind of the meat of the course is going to be learning how to apply many of these concepts we'll be talking about. And then the third part is to continue to apply what we've learned in the first 2 parts. We'll be doing quite a few case studies. We're doing it on a weekly basis. There'll be a few more quizzes, and then we have a final exam. So my goal here again is to be able to integrate as much of this information as we can in a practical situation. And so the course is set up to kind of progressively build upon some of these concepts and build upon the knowledge, so that we'll start out pretty simple and pretty easy, and then we'll progressively build upon that information and get into more and more complex problems. Okay, so expectations. First of all, stay current with your forms and assignments. In this course, it's very easy to fall behind quickly, and so it's really important that you consistently complete your assignments, do your readings, read forum posts, not only what I post, but what your classmates post. and that will kind of keep you in the discussion loop. Another thing I strongly suggest you do that typically will deal with most questions people have is to go over the syllabus in detail. Spend some time going through it, looking at what each of the different assignments are, and kind of get a sense for how the class is going to flow. So that's pretty important. On Web Study, there is a news function on the right-hand side. There's the little tabs like materials and so forth, and there's a news tab there. If I have any information to pass along, I will do it there, so I would check that regularly, at least once a week. If at any time you anticipate missing a deadline, communicate with me as quickly as possible. The best way to get a hold of me is through email, either through Web Study or through my RMU address, which is listed on the syllabus. That's the best way to get a hold of me. If you even sense that you might be late with an assignment, please let me know. And the reason I ask people to do this is because I don't have a problem giving people extensions on late work or giving them time to make up work if they're struggling, but you've got to communicate with me. If you contact me a week or so after something is due that you didn't complete, and say, oh, I missed the quiz, I'm not going to be as lenient with you as if you would have told me ahead of time this was going to happen. If you tell me ahead of time, I know things happen, people get busy, I'm more than willing to work with you, but you do need to communicate with me, and that's a pretty important aspect of that. And that's kind of where we are, late missed assignments. I will accept late missed assignments as long as I have some heads up that this is going to happen. If you tell me a week after you missed something that you were sick, you probably weren't so sick that you couldn't have told me that you were probably going to miss the assignment. So please communicate with me. If you do find yourself falling behind conceptually, in other words, you're kind of struggling with some of the information, ask for help. Do not hesitate to ask for help. I don't believe there is a silly question in statistics, so please don't be afraid to ask for help, and certainly collaborate with each other. Your classmates are going to be some of your best resources, and as you talk about these concepts, it's amazing how quickly you can get through the information when you're kind of explaining it to each other, and that's a great way to learn it as well, is trying to explain these concepts to each other. You're going to have lots of resources to help you. You've got your textbook, which is a pretty good textbook, pretty readable, has lots of good examples that I think most of us can relate to. So you're going to have to take some significant notes as you're going through the reading, as well as you're watching the mini lectures that I have periodically, so take good systematic notes. I have the PowerPoints themselves posted in the materials section under mini lecture PowerPoint, so you can print those out and take notes as you're watching and listening to the mini lectures, so that's a good suggestion. I also have a YouTube channel that has tons of demonstration videos for doing many of the different techniques we'll be doing in this course, so you can use that as a resource. Watch the videos over and over and over again, and that's a great way to kind of follow along as we're doing some of these different techniques. So please use all the resources available to you. If that's not enough, feel free to seek other resources. If there's a textbook you've used before that you really like, or you find a website that you really like that explains things, or someone else's videos on YouTube that you really like, by all means use those. It never hurts to hear concepts explained more than one way, and it certainly helps with repetition if you get a chance to hear something explained more than once. Generally, forum postings, emails, and assignments, I'll either acknowledge them by replying directly or grade them, post a grade within 48 hours. If you post something at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, I might not get to it until Monday morning, but I do try and check things periodically on weekends, but I will generally respond to you within 48 hours. If you send me an email and don't get a response within 48 hours, please follow up and send me another email, and something may have happened to the email. So please follow up if you don't hear from me in any of those situations. Okay, some common questions that people have. If I'm not good at math, am I going to fail this course? No. There's no reason you can't fail. You will fail this course just because you don't feel like you're very good at math. As I mentioned before, we are going to use math as a tool, but math is not the complete picture of what we're doing in statistics. So we are going to use math, And to be honest with you, the most difficult math in statistics is division and square roots. That's the most difficult math that we do in statistics. So if you can do division and you have a calculator that gives you square roots, then you should be fine. And again, SPSS, the computer program we're going to use, does most of the heavy lifting for us. So we enter data and it does the calculations and then we interpret them. So don't be intimidated if you don't feel like you're very good at math, and we certainly aren't going to let you fail just because you might not be able to do math problems in your head. Okay, where do I find SPSS and which version do I need? Well, there are several sources for SPSS, and I think some of them are described in your syllabus. Probably the most economical way for you guys to get access to SPSS is to lease it. There are options where you can lease the program for 6 months or a year and get your use from it, and then when the lease is done, the computer program just gets removed from your computer. So that's probably one of the best options. Which version do you need? Probably version 18 or later, and if you can get the basic version, that version will be more than adequate for what we're going to be doing. You don't need to get the professional or graduate pack level necessarily. If that's what you already have, that's fine. That's not going to be a problem, but using either the basic or the grad pack should be adequate, more than adequate for what we're going to be doing. Now, you might work at an institution that provides this to their employees for free. If you work at a university, if you work for a large healthcare institution, they may have this available to you as free software or software at a significant discount. So look into your IT department and see if they have this available possibly for you to use as well. I don't like my textbook. Do I have to use the required text? No, you don't. If you have another textbook, as I mentioned before, that you like a little bit better, I don't have a problem with that. One author doesn't have any secrets about statistics that other authors don't know about. So if you have one that's a little more, you think is a little more readable, a little easier to understand, by all means use it, and you should be able to have no problem following along with the topics as we move through. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good understanding of what we're going to be doing in the course. Again, read the syllabus in detail if you want to get a better grasp of the actual assignments we'll be doing week to week. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact me. And we're going to do our best to make sure we can support you as you go through this course material. So good luck and good learning, and I look forward to meeting with you all during the semester.